How's it going, YouTube? Andrew from Team Gladiator here. I'm going to show you a couple test hands for the Regenesis Kashtira deck. I know a couple of you guys have been asking for it, so we're just going to do like 2 test hands going first, and we're going to do about 2 going second as well. So, yeah, let's just do this real quick, see how this goes, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to do going first test hand, so we're going to draw our 5 cards. So this is a pretty standard hand, pretty basic, nothing ridiculous here. You got lunar eclipse that you can set, of course, for interruption on your opponent's turn. But the first thing we're going to do first is we're going to start things off with Fenrir. You're going to use Fenrir effect to add a unicorn from your deck to your hand. So you have the unicorn now. Next up, you can summon the Archfiend by revealing the unicorn. In this situation, you can either get a Sage or a Birth. We're going to get a Birth just for another form of interruption on your opponent's turn. Because at that point, your opponent would have probably drolled you if you had Fenrir with the Fenrir effect potentially. And then at this point, you can use the Regenesis to then add a Sage to your hand. Add the Sage. So now you're going to have a special the Sage. And you're going to set a Birth. You're going to set a lunar eclipse. At this point, you have 2 cards on hand. You have a Birth effect, which is you can send a Regenesis card on your opponent's turn from your deck to the graveyard to book a moon something. You're going to use it on your opponent's turn, of course, so you can add it back. You got Sage, which is an Omni Negate. Fenrir, which you can banish something. So this hand's pretty basic. So the Sage opponent tries to make some plays. You got Birth. You can use Birth in this situation. You can send a Warrior, Dragon. You can send another Archfiend to the graveyard. At this point in time, I'm probably going to send Warrior or Dragon, depending on what you are playing against. And then you have that. This will be face up on the field. If you're going to use a Sage for Omni Negate, I will probably get rid of the Archfiend at this point. That way you get that back as well. You can use the Lunar Eclipse to discard 1 if need be to the graveyard. In this case, it just varies basically. Let's say we don't need to do that because we already booked something. So yeah, the end phase, you'll get the Archfiend back. You get the Warrior back. So you have these 4 in your hand then. And then you draw 1 for turn. You're going to draw a Regenesis Code. Now, in this situation, you can use Code during the draw phase. That way you can play around Droll just in case they drew into it. They would have, of course, played it last turn, but if they drew it for turn or whatnot, you're going to play Code in this situation. You can get really whatever you want. In this spot, I would probably end up going and get the Archfiend, even though you already have one in hand. That way you can use Archfiend effect immediately. So that you can get back from your deck to your hand, you can get the Regenesis Lord. So you have that right there, just to play around Droll, of course. They couldn't Droll you. Yes, they could Ash you, and if they do Ash you, that is fine. You still have plenty of forms of interruption. In this case, you can then banish the Archfiend, summon the Lord. You can use Lord effect to set 1 from your deck. I'm going to go with a Regenesis Cycle. That way you have that as an option. When you have Lord on the field, you can then use the Cycle, which will banish 2 cards your opponent controls. Easy board right to get rid of 2 right there. And you still have these 4 in the hand. And now you can also go ahead and use Fenrir, add another Unicorn if need be. You can summon the Warrior. You can summon the Archfiend still, because the first Archfiend was not summoned by his own effect. You can't get the search for the second Archfiend, but you can get the Archfiend on field for another body, basically. You just have a bunch of forms of interruption. In a case like this, I probably would keep the Archfiend in the hand. That way you summon the Lord, the Warrior, the Archfiend. There's 3 summons right there. This does play around Nib, of course, as well. You can then go use this. You can use Warrior effect to get rid of something else if need be. Or you can overlay the Fenrir and Sage or Fenrir and Warrior or whatever. Make overlay 2 of your guys to go into like a Dark Arm or to go into a Big Eye to take something and just, get a bunch of plays from going there. And at that point, you still have 3 in hand. And you just kind of go off. Very easy way to just clear a bunch of boards, set a bunch of bodies. Very, very nice and simple. So let's do a second test hand real quick for going first. Just going to shuffle this real quick. All right, let's draw our next hand. We got a Fenrir again, an Archfiend, a Book of Eclipse, Pot of Extravagance, and a Pressure Planet. So this hand's a pretty basic hand. You're going to start things off with Extravagance first. You're just going to shuffle your extra deck. You're going to banish 6 of these. Doesn't really matter what 6 you banish, but in this case, we'll just show you what we are. We're going to banish Mega Flea, 76, Haggard Lizard, SP, Dingriasu, and a World Gears. So whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going to draw 2 from that. You're going to draw into a Regenesis Lord and an evenly matched. So there we have that. Obviously, if you're probably going to ash you, your opponent would either ash you there, they're going to draw you. But let's say they don't have that. We're just going to play like they don't have any hand traps just to see the basic combos going off. And, you know, you'll see the plays from there. Your special Fenrir effect will get the Unicorn, of course. That way you have that in hand. You're then going to special the Archfiend because you have Unicorn in your hand, and then you're going to use that. You can special Sage, or you can add Sage to hand, I'm sorry, and you can special the Sage. In a spot like this, depending on what's going on, you can either just set the Book of Eclipse, you can activate the field spell, add another Unicorn to your hand, of course. We're going to set the book. You can also potentially, depending on what you're playing against, if you already know, if you don't know, it depends. You can go around and banish the Archfiend to special the Lord right there. Lord effect, you can then use that to set a birth. That way you have another form of interruption right there. So you have a birth, you have an eclipse, you have Sage, you have Fenrir with 3 in hand. Pretty basic right there. And in this case, your opponent's turn, they go off, they start doing the combo. You activate birth. Birth is going to send an Archfiend to the graveyard. That way you can get it back at the end of the turn. You can banish something with Fenrir. You can use Sage effect. At this plot, we'll probably get rid of the birth. And then at the end of the turn, you get the Archfiend back. You draw 1 for turn. You drew into a cycle. Beautiful. In the spot like this, you have a Lord. You can use cycle. You can get rid of 2. And you just kind of go off in a similar play to how the first hand was. So let's go into a hand for going second now. And we'll see how that goes. All right, let's draw our 6 cards. There, look at that. We're going second. We open it evenly. That is phenomenal. So that's your 5. You're going to draw the 6th card for going second. So in a spot like this, you're going to go straight to battle phase, end of battle phase. You're going to go evenly matched. Get rid of all but 1 card the opponent controls. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal right there. And then with something like this, you're pretty safe to do almost whatever. You have Call by the Grave, which is awesome. So you're going to special Unicorn. Remember, this is now main phase 2, so you're not going to be doing any battle, but you're going to special Unicorn. Unicorn effect will get Theosis. There it is. You're going to activate the Theosis to special the Fenrir. The Fenrir effect will add a Unicorn to our hand. Next up, you can special the Fenrir by getting rid of the Unicorn, or by revealing the Unicorn, of course. And then a spot like this, I would probably just go and get the Sage just as an option. You can special the Sage, that way you have that on the field. At this point, you probably already used Called By. If not, it's another card in your hand, of course. If it's whatever. You can set the Lunar Eclipse. You got 2 in hand. Opponent turn, they start doing some stuff. You have a Fenrir to banish something, Unicorn to look at the extra, you get rid of something, Sage is on the gate, you have Book of Lunar Eclipse to book 2 face down. You are kind of set right here. And then let's just say you do use Lunar Eclipse, you discard 1, use Sage, get rid of Archfiend, end phase, Archfiend comes back, you can draw a Regenesis for turn, you just kind of win from there. You got a lot of plays on your next turn, border wipes you can go into from the extra deck and so on. So let's do one more hand on second, see what we're going to go with. We are very fortunate to have both evenly and Called By in that last opening hand. So let's see how this one is going to go, and we'll go from there. We're going to draw our 5 and draw 1 more for turn. So we have that there. We're going to start things off with Extravagance, of course. We're just going to banish 6, basically. We're going to draw 2 if they ash you. They ash you if they don't. Then you're going to draw 2, draw into a book, draw into a dragon. So they probably have a pretty decent board up right now. So in something like this, depending on what it is, you can just use the clips right now just to flip everything face down if need be. That way, your opponent just, they can't, what's it called? They, oh, I'm sorry. Your opponent just can't make any plays at that point. So you have a book right there. Otherwise, you can special Fenrir. I would not use it. You can use a Fenrir effect, because at this point they probably would have asked you. They probably would have drolled you. So you can use Fenrir effect to get a unicorn. I'm also going to use Regenesis at that point to get an Archfiend. So we're going to get Archfiend, and we're going to get a unicorn to the hand. At that point, you're going to special Archfiend effect. We're going to use that straight away to potentially, depending on what's in your hand and what is on the field, but at this point you did Eclipse, so we're just going to get a Lord. You're going to banish the Archfiend, you can special the Lord effect. You're going to set the cycle. You're going to then activate the cycle to get rid of 2 cards that your opponent has, most likely some of the face down monsters, just to get plays going. You can then special Dragon. You can activate Right Swath, the field spell, just to get to clear your deck a little bit. You can add a unicorn, you can add a Fenrir, whatever you want to your hand. That way you have that. At this point, you have a Lord that is piercing at 5k when he battles. You got rid of 2 cards already they have. You have an Interrupt with Fenrir to banish something. You have a Dragon to get rid of a spell or trap. So you can do some battle damage here, do some stuff. At the main phase 2, depending on what's going on, you can then set your birth. You can also kind of just leave this field where it is. But if need be, depending on what life they have, you can always tribute the Dragon and Lord just to summon a unicorn. You can then use Unicorn effect to get Theosis to get a birth if need be. But the main thing is you're going to overlay the 2 into the Red Dragon if they have 500 or less attack life points left. So there you go. There's a couple combos we got for you guys. Stay tuned. I got some more videos coming shortly. There's a couple different versions of this deck that I do want to feature. Waiting on some cards in the mail for that. And I have some other pretty cool deck profiles coming up in the near future. Just waiting on some stuff in the mail. So comment, like the video, subscribe, guys, and stay happy.